Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.
Welcome into room 442 here, and it's a busy Tuesday as there's always so much football news breaking. Let's go to some headlines here from today. James, what is standing out there to you? Can I take a guess?
It's got to be John Herdman. It really does. This is gathering steam. Joshua Cloak at The Athletic has said in a piece that he wrote last night that Herdman is the front runner for the job according to numerous sources, and the more I think about it, the more it makes complete sense. I keep going back to that Nations League defeat where Canada was poor, and John Herdman at the press conference post-match was saying how it's time we have to get serious. This nation must get serious, a real directed towards, I think, its national association. And since then, it's gone from bad to worse. That the men last week have come out once again criticizing Canada soccer and the CBA negotiations. There's no games in the next window. They can't afford to play games. It's at rock bottom now, or close to. And if you're John Herdman, you've been with the program now for 12, 13 years. You've given it everything. You've been successful. You've brought money in. You've campaigned for private money for these programs. Maybe now's the time to step into professional football at club level, which is what he wants to do eventually anyway. And that dumpster fire at Toronto FC might look awful on paper right now, Sarah, but really the opportunity there is such that you can turn that around perhaps a lot quicker than right now Canada soccer can. So I think from TFC's perspective, it would be a real coup to get John Herdman, well-known, well-respected, liked, a big name in this market, and he's proven he can turn around programs. And I think he could probably do the same for a club team.
Well, you mentioned the dumpster fire that is TFC. Let's take a look at what they've done this season, some of their stats. So 25 matches played, James. 3 wins, a whopping 3, 12 losses, 10 draws, 20 goals, 36 again. Like, they are really just shambolic, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've gone over it before. I think it's the worst season in club history, and there's been some bad seasons, but what we expected from this team before the season and what's transpired, the room is not great. Do the 2 highest paid players want to be there? We suspect not, but could John Herdman come in and convince them to commit themselves and to play the way that we know they can play? Who knows? Maybe he gets a blank slate from ownership. It says clear house, start all over again. It's a real project for him, and John Herdman likes projects, so I think it'd be a really intriguing hire.
I mean, I think, though, my question to you is with Lorenzo Insigne and Bernardeschi, they came into TFC last summer and they were beloved by TFC fans, right? These 2 massive Italian players, Juve, Napoli, the Italian team. Everyone thought it was going to be happy days, and obviously it hasn't been. Who's to say that Herdman, the beloved Canadian coach who brought Canada to the World Cup, isn't going to come in and then all of a sudden in a couple months, maybe if things aren't going well, then the blame's going to shift to him. The fan base in Toronto, we know, is a very emotional type of people. So I'm curious to see if he were to come here and we didn't see changes, almost instantly, would some of the blame then immediately just go to him, even though as of right now, he is very liked and well-respected across the nation?
Well, I mean, I think a house cleaning's in order at TFC, right? If he
maybe
came
at
in
the top?
Well, maybe, who knows, right? But I can't see Bill Manning stepping aside at this point. I can't see it. Now, if John Herdman took the reins at TFC, I would imagine he's got a lot of say on how to rebuild this team. It's not just as a coach, for example. They have a GM there right now who's just been signed, obviously, in the last number of months when Bob Bradley was fired. So what would be the role? That would be really interesting, but obviously it would come with some power to change the way this team is put together and assembled. Like I said, could he convince the Italians to really commit themselves? I don't know. Maybe that's done. Maybe they're moving on anyway. They've already got rid of one coach. In comes Terry Dunfield, who's just assumed this poison chalice. This is not on Terry Dunfield at all. So do you sign John Herdman or the next manager, whoever it is, in season? Do you wait till the off season? That's a question as well. Listen, Canada's got a game coming up in October against Japan in Japan, right? That's a really great opponent. That's an important game as well before qualifying for the Copa America. There's no games in September in that window. right? Which is going to just irk John Herdman, who wants to see his team play football games. So
Sure.
there's many moving parts here. But I just think, for me, he would be the right hire for Toronto FC at any time. If it's easy to get him now, then the summer, you get him now, because who knows? Maybe there's more jobs available to turn his head in the summertime, or wintertime in this case.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, TFC have about a month and a half until playoffs start, and we can assume they won't be there. But I think you ride this season out and just let it be what it's been, and then off-season really start making those moves.
You can't make many changes in season, right, in MLS because of the windows, obviously. But then you get the manager in now, he can see what he has and what he likes. What I do find interesting, if it is John Herdman, he's been saying for a long time now, he wants his players for Canada to play at top-tier leagues, and that doesn't necessarily mean MLS. So he's going to have a bit of a philosophical change there, perhaps, if he took this job. In the article, Josh Clote writes that John Herdman's people approached TFC first as well.
Wow.
So he was looking to get out of the Canada
team.
Soccer Association,
What a
and
guy.
who can blame him, right? I mean, honestly, if he walks from Canada right now, Sarah, no one could blame him at all. Same with Beth Priestman, no one could blame them at all.
Absolutely
They've put their time in, they've had success, and they're faced with this smashing their head against a brick wall, it seems, because I don't see any deal being signed anytime soon between the players and the association, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, we've given a lot of attention to TFC, but truly, if he leaves Canada Soccer, that is going to be the domino effect, maybe, that we just see it crumble. It could get really bad for Canada Soccer before we see
even worse.
a light at the... Oh, I think so. I absolutely think so. But we'll see. We'll keep you guys posted. This is going to be, I feel like, breaking all week, so we'll keep our eyes on it. If we can go back to the headlines, though, of what's been going on today. Number 2, Thierry Henry named France U21 coach ahead of Paris Olympics. TT back in the coaching boots. Now, we know we've seen him with Monaco, Belgium, Montreal, but I've really enjoyed his time with CBS.
I know, he's so great on TV.
He's so good, isn't he? He's so fun, and he's just charismatic. And yeah, we were kind of talking about whether or not he could do both, the pundit lifestyle along with coaching, but
why not?
yeah, I mean, let's see how I think with the Olympics coming up, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him because, to be honest, Thierry Henry, one of the best strikers maybe ever. Coaching hasn't been great.
No.
And he is, I mean, it's funny because I think IQ football-wise, he's up there. But then translating that to other individuals, you can't always do it.
He's got to prove himself, isn't he? He really does.
That's what I
mean. We
mean.
see it so often, like superstar players don't often make the greatest managers. I'm not saying he can't because he's a smart guy, he can adapt. But, you know, like I said, in Montreal, Monaco in particular, hasn't really worked out for him too well. U21s, I mean, that guy walks into a room, everyone stands up and listens to him, right? He's got these kids. Maybe he likes working with the youngsters more than the veterans. Perhaps he can mold them. He worked, of course, with Belgium as an assistant coach, and the players reportedly loved him in that role there. Listen, France has some great talent coming up.
Yeah, let's
They
not
really do.
that
It's a good
U21 France team. I mean, not too long ago that was Chouameni and Camavinga, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Mbappe is
There's a few of them, right?
crazy. Yeah, no, exactly. So I think, I mean, as well as obviously that he's French, they love him. This is like the roots. I don't know. I think this maybe could be a really good fit. I hope it is.
Do you think it's the start of his procession towards the national team job?
Oh
proper?
my God.
If he does a good
no,
job here?
it's going to be Zizou and he's going to be the assistant
Okay,
under him.
when will Zizou say yes to a job?
Yeah.
Every job that comes out, he's the top name, right?
Yeah.
Both national team and for club. Meanwhile, he sits back and basking in his millions of dollars, wherever he is, enjoying the Zizou life, picking and choosing where he goes. But at some point, he's got to make his move, hasn't he?
I feel like, did he not say last season if he were to come back, it would be for France? So, I mean, maybe he's just waiting. There's a Euro next year, Zizou. But I think if he's not there now, like, it seems like that's not enough time. Like, you'd want to give him, like, at least a full solid calendar year before a major competition. But then again, he's Zinedine Zidane. He can do anything.
Well, he can win Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
We know that much.
And World Cups.
As a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. Lastly, James, I'm going to ask you to pick one more from the headlines board.
Okay, so, Vinny, yeah. Pep, okay, Pep would be okay, you know.
Pep will be-
He's missing, what, 4
Yeah.
games, I think.
He's not back until the end of international break, but yes.
Pulisic. I'm going to Pulisic.
Christian Pulisic.
All right, because he leaves Chelsea. He never really got it together at Chelsea, but he was so good in Germany before then. We know what this guy can do. First Serie A match this past weekend for Milan against Bologna. They win 2-0. He gets involved in the first goal for Olivier Giroud, by the way, speaking of French legends.
Hey.
And then he scores an absolute worldie of a goal.
Yeah.
This is Pulisic's first goal for his new club, AC Milan. And he just looks good in that AC Milan kit, I think. It's a good fit for him. I think he's a really good player. I think underrated, misunderstood at Chelsea quite a bit. Sure. This guy can still be a star. The US certainly hopes so. But what a goal that was, and what a time to get off his mark for AC Milan.
Yeah, no kidding. I feel like Chelsea might be becoming the new United. You know, a couple of years ago, everyone would go to United and kind of just suffer, and their career would just go down. Yeah. Maybe that's Chelsea now, because there's just too much going on there. But no, it's great to see Christian Pulisic really coming out swinging. But also, Serie A is back. They're always, the last ones to kind of. It's the Italian way, right? They're just waking up. They're in time. But we saw Napoli beating Fiorentina. Sorry, Frosinone. Excuse me. Victor Osimhen back on the board. Love to see it, because there's a lot of questions with how Napoli will do, defending champs, new coach.
Yeah, Rudy Garcia's there now.
The pressure is on. If there is pressure on anyone in the Serie A, it is Napoli, because everyone's expecting them to kind of drop down the table.
Haven't been too busy in the off-season either.
Yeah.
They have to retain Osimhen. Now there's always links to Saudi Arabia, and there's going to be a Premier League team sniffing around before the end of the transfer window. I just hope he stays there. It's a perfect fit for him. He can move at some point, sure.
Yeah.
But you want to see Napoli do this again. I think Serie A is better this year. Milan should be better this year. Inter Milan possibly better this year. Juve have nothing to worry about apart from the Serie A at this point. They all won week one. So it should be a really compelling season again. And last year in the Serie A, it was fantastic, right? They had a great season. They looked really good in Europe as well, as we know. I thought it was a return to form.
Rebirth.
Yeah, rebirth. Yeah, I think it is, right? It's been a tough few years.
No, I'm happy to see it. You mentioned Juve, though, because I have to ask, because I think they were the strongest team I think I've seen over the weekend, with how they played 3-0 over Udinese. Not a bad team at all. Juve last year was surrounded by drama. The losing of the points, getting them back, losing them again. But we kind of dismissed Juve because of all of that. But now Juve might be back to the old Juve ways, dare I say. I mean, one match in, this is what we do.
Yeah,
we
but they're not
concerned
about Europe, are they?
But that is an interesting factor, because now all the eggs go in one basket. Yeah, I don't know.
So you're saying Juve for the Scudetto? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to say it. I hate that it's even a thought, but they looked really good. I mean, Roma 2-2 to Salernitana. They can't be having that. Lazio, unfortunate loss to Lecce. They got really unlucky, but Milan looked good. Juve looked good. Napoli looked good, but you're playing Frosinone. I expect that. So.
Yeah, Inter 3 points against Monza.
I don't know.
Listen, early season narratives. We'll do a piece, right? The next couple of weeks. We'll pick some of the early season narratives and which one means the least. Because every year they come out the gates, all these teams in various leagues, either playing great or terribly, and we make all these judgments, and we assume something's going to happen. And by the end of the season, it's meant nothing.
Yeah.
What happens in August. Right,
yeah.
So we'll do a piece on that. I think that'd be interesting. And maybe it comes in Serie A, the biggest story. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd love to see it. It's always good when we look back as well and, look at our predictions from August back in June and how wrong we were. Yeah, so we'll see. But seasons are all kicking off. It's an exciting time for footy.
Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.